after a first term of simply thinking that if he asked nicely for things from the Republicans, that would get him what he wants, Obama has a very novel idea of how to accomplish his goals, specifically in regard to the fiscal cliff. He is going to be leaving Washington and putting pressure via third-party groups that support him on representatives and senators out amongst the people around the country. Duh. He should have been doing that for 4 years. That's how you go into the states where these senators who are going to have tough re-election fights are, and you make them look like fools for not supporting the policies. That's how you do it. Maybe he's learning. Now, I have some more in particular in regard to the fiscal cliff that I want to talk about this for, but do you think that this is genuine, and do you think it will be effective?
I think it is genuine. Obama has the experience of dealing with this so-called fiscal cliff before, and I think that he is trying to find a different way to deal with it. Yes, I agree that he should have tackled it in this way from the very beginning, but using third parties to apply political pressure, especially to Republicans and Democrats, conservative Democrats in Congress, is a great idea. It's not a novel idea, obviously, you're being sarcastic, but I think that this is the right way to approach it. And how about you listen to the people who voted for you, especially when it comes to fiscal policy? One of the main reasons why you got reelected as opposed to Romney getting elected is because Romney would have given massive handouts to corporations, to the wealthy. Obviously, the U.S. wants something different from that. So you have to listen to your voters and do what they asked you to do. And all of this negotiation about entitlements, I don't want to hear any of that either. I know that it's inevitable, but when you start talking about privatizing or making cuts to Social Security, you've completely lost me. Okay, of course, letting the Bush tax cuts expire on the wealthy is very, very, very important. Okay, I don't want to minimize that, but it's also important to not make cuts to so-called entitlement programs or entitlement spending, especially when the money that we've contributed to Social Security has gone into a massive trust that the government has borrowed money from, and now they're trying to find a way to put the money back into the trust. And are you going to do that on the backs of the working class and the middle class? Hell no, you're not.
Or make it so that they don't need to put as much money back in the trust.
Yeah.
That's one of the purposes of cutting it.
Exactly. And here's another thing that we should definitely do, and I haven't heard Obama talk about this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has mentioned it and I haven't heard it yet, but let's make the Social Security tax cap higher. So let's put it up to $150,000 instead of $110,000.
That's crazy.
Why is that crazy? That's the most common sense thing you could possibly do. It's a no-brainer when it comes to our whole Social Security crisis. But no one's having a real conversation about that.
It's a no-brainer and also a non-starter in this country.
Exactly.
So there are a couple of things that Cenk likes to list as obvious solutions to this that are way simpler than the things that are actually being discussed. But look, I'm trying to give some credit to Obama, but let's not go that far. He's not going to do some of the things that we would like. But the reason I wanted to talk about this specifically is that we've been having this sort of debate in the Young Turks over the last week or so about how Obama is actually going to act once it comes to the negotiations in regard to the fiscal cliff. And I think JR's position generally is that we should just wait and see, that we're trying to read too much into every single thing that's said, but I plan to continue to do that. And so if he was just going to capitulate and give the Republicans everything that they wanted, would he be planning this big trip around the country? Maybe he just wants to see the sights. I don't know. There's a lot of great states across the country, but I think that this, at least it's a good fake of that he's going to fight for what we want, but...
Right. Well, yeah. Well, that's another possibility. He could frame it in, look, I did everything I could. I tried to push...
I traveled.
I tried to push bipartisanship within Congress. I tried to, extend my hand to the Republicans and try to negotiate with them. They wouldn't negotiate. I went so far as to talk to people who voted for me and third parties that would maybe apply political pressure to members of Congress. None of it worked. I did what I could. But, Cenk always mentions how Obama probably wants cuts to entitlement spending. And he probably wants to do what the Republicans want to do to Medicare and Social Security. So I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm 100% buying what Cenk says in regard to that, but he could frame it that way.
Yeah, it's possible. Look, we're going to have to watch to see what he actually says once he gets out there. I mean, it may be that he's talking like, oh, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to fight for this. And then he goes out and he gives wishy-washy speeches about how we need to give some to get some. It's also possible.
I really hope he doesn't do that, because if he continues to concede like that, he's also going to completely destroy the Democrats during the next election.
Well, we're stuck with him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.